was standing at my sister's wedding when I found out my mother had stolen my entire future, and she'd been smiling to my face about it for 14 years. Aria Forrester was 32 years old, working a dead-end corporate job, and watching her younger sister, Maya, marry a successful surgeon. It was a beautiful day, but Aria felt a familiar, dull ache. 14 years ago, she was supposed to be the one with the bright future. She was the straight-A student, the dreamer. But when the thin rejection letter from Stanford arrived in the mail back then, her world had collapsed. She stayed in her small hometown to help her mother, Eleanor, through a health crisis that seemed to linger for years. She became the dependable one, the daughter who stayed, while Maya went off to conquer the world. During the reception, Aria was tucked away at a back table with her Aunt Sarah. Sarah had enjoyed a few too many glasses of champagne. She leaned in, patting Aria's hand. "You know, Aria, I always thought it was so brave of you to turn down Stanford. To stay here and take care of your mother instead of going to Palo Alto. Most girls wouldn't have that kind of heart." Aria froze, her fork halfway to her mouth. "Aunt Sarah, what do you mean? I didn't turn them down. I was rejected. I got the letter." Sarah's face went pale. She realized she'd said too much. "Oh, Eleanor told me you were so torn, but that you decided the family needed you more. She showed me the big welcome packet you got in the mail that summer. The one with the Stanford Cardinal on the front." Aria's heart didn't just break, it shattered. She remembered that summer vividly. She had been checking the mail every day, desperate. One afternoon, her mother had met her at the door with a single, thin envelope. "I'm so sorry, baby," Eleanor had whispered, hugging her tightly. "They said no. But it's okay. You belong here with me." Aria looked across the dance floor. Her mother was laughing, toast in hand, the picture of a proud parent. Aria didn't make a scene. She excused herself, went to the bathroom, and threw up. 14 years. She had spent 14 years believing she wasn't good enough. She had worked 3 jobs to pay for her mother's treatments that never seemed to have a diagnosis. She had sacrificed her 20s for a lie. She realized then that the health crisis had started the exact week the acceptance letters were scheduled to arrive. Eleanor hadn't just hidden the letter, she had burned her daughter's bridge to the world to keep her as a permanent caretaker. Aria walked out of that wedding without saying goodbye. She went home, opened her laptop, and did something she hadn't dared to do since she was 18. But Aria wasn't just going to confront her mother with a 14-year-old secret. She was going to wait. She was going to apply again, in secret. And when she finally stood in front of Eleanor, she wouldn't be holding a rejection, she'd be holding a weapon that would change their family forever. She wasn't just checking the mail for a letter, she was checking it for her life back. And this time, she wasn't letting her mother get to the mailbox first. Aria didn't confront Eleanor the next morning. She knew her mother was a master of the pivot. If Aria accused her without proof, Eleanor would simply fake a heart attack or claim Aria was misremembering a childhood trauma. Instead, Aria went into stealth mode. For the next 6 months, she lived a double life. By day, she was the dependable daughter, driving Eleanor to endless appointments for a chronic fatigue that only seemed to flare up when Aria tried to make plans. But in the late hours of the night, while Eleanor slept soundly, Aria was at her kitchen table, studying for the entrance exam she should have taken a decade ago. She wasn't applying to Stanford this time. She was 32, not 18. She needed a program that valued her grit. She applied to Columbia University School of General Studies, a prestigious college specifically for non-traditional students who had their dreams interrupted. One rainy Tuesday, while Eleanor was at a bridge game, Aria did something she had never dared to do. She went into the attic. She searched through the old trunks, past the baby clothes and holiday decorations, until she found a small, locked metal box hidden inside an old sewing machine cabinet. She didn't need a key. She used a flathead screwdriver and sheer, cold-blooded determination. The lock snapped. And there it was. The original, thick envelope from 14 years ago. The cardinal red logo was faded, but the word was still clear: congratulations. Inside was the welcome packet, the housing forms, and a handwritten note from a recruiter. Aria sat on the dusty attic floor and cried, not for the girl she was, but for the woman she could have been. She realized her mother hadn't just stolen her education. She had stolen her confidence, her youth, and her chance to see the world before she was broken by it. Eleanor sensed the change. She began falling more often. She started calling Aria at work 4 times a day, claiming her chest felt tight. "Aria, honey," Eleanor would sigh, clutching her pearls, "I don't know what I'd do without you. You're the only one who truly cares. Maya is so busy with her doctor husband, she forgets I even exist. You're my angel." Aria would just smile tightly and nod. She knew the angel trap. It was a golden cage. But the bars were about to break. The thin white envelope from Columbia arrived on a Thursday afternoon. Aria got to the mailbox first. She didn't open it at the curb. She tucked it into her bag and walked inside to find her mother sitting on the sofa, clutching a heating pad, ready to demand another night of care. Aria didn't tell her mother the news. Not yet. She waited for the perfect moment, a celebratory family dinner for Maya's first anniversary. She wasn't just going to announce her departure. She was going to present her mother with a bill for 14 years of stolen time. And the final confrontation would leave the entire family in absolute silence. I stood up at my sister's anniversary dinner, pulled a 14-year-old secret out of my purse, and watched my mother's perfect health vanish in 10 seconds. The restaurant was upscale, the mood celebratory. Eleanor was in rare form, leaning on her cane and sighing to Maya's surgeon husband about her failing nerves. "It's a blessing Aria is so content staying in our little town," Eleanor said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "She's my rock. Not everyone has the ambition to leave like Maya did. Some people are just born to be caregivers." Aria didn't flinch. She reached into her bag and pulled out the yellowed, 14-year-old Stanford packet. She slid it across the white tablecloth, right into the center of the floral arrangement. "I wasn't born a caregiver, Mom," Aria said, her voice cutting through the clinking of silverware. "I was made into one by a lie." Maya picked up the envelope, her eyes widening as she read the 2012 date and the word congratulations. "Aria, you got into Stanford? Why did Mom say you were rejected?" The table went dead silent. Eleanor's face went from pale to a ghostly, sickly white. She didn't look at Maya. She looked at the attic dust still clinging to the corner of the envelope. "I found the box, Eleanor," Aria said, dropping the mom title like a lead weight. "I found the letter you hid. I found the proof that you faked your first heart episode the same week this arrived in the mail." Eleanor tried to pivot. She clutched her chest, her breathing becoming shallow and theatrical. "Aria, the stress, you're making me ill, help me to the car." "Stop it," Maya's husband interrupted. His doctor's eyes narrowed with professional coldness. "Eleanor, I've seen your charts. Your heart is as strong as a horse's. Your episodes only happen when someone else in this family has a success." The mask finally shattered. Eleanor sat upright, the fragile act vanishing, replaced by a sharp, bitter glare. "You were an ungrateful child," she hissed. "I gave you a home. I gave you a purpose. You would have failed out there. I protected you from yourself." Aria didn't yell. She reached back into her bag and pulled out the second envelope, the fresh, white one from Columbia University. "You didn't protect me. You caged me. But the cage is open now." Aria stood up, placing her house keys on the table. "I've sold my car. I've packed my bags. I'm leaving for New York on Monday. You have Maya's number if there's a real emergency, but don't call me. I'm sending you a bill for the last 14 years, Eleanor. You can pay it by staying out of my life." Aria walked out of that restaurant without looking back. She didn't cry for her mother's anger. She cried for the 14 years of Aria that she was finally going to meet. The lesson: some people will set your world on fire just so they can be the only one who can save you from the smoke. Don't let your loyalty become your prison. The comments are open. Have you ever had a parent or partner hold you back from your dreams? Share your story below. I'm reading every single one. White down pointing backhand index.